My name is Ben Banks and I work for TCW Incorporated. We have certainly seen our insurance rates rise over really the past decade has seen a pretty dramatic increase. And we've won 3 President's Trophies within the last 15 years, so we take safety very seriously. Even despite that and despite our track record, we've unfortunately still seen drastic increases in insurance premiums. Rising insurance premiums, they impact really every aspect of our business. That's money that we could use towards wages and benefits to our employees, our drivers, new equipment purchases, new terminals we want to build, or bulk fuel locations to save fuel, save on that. Even into environmental aspects, we were running renewable diesel last year, which can at times be a little bit of a cost premium versus regular diesel. But we're trying to do things and cut our carbon emissions. But if we're seeing rising insurance premiums, we have to be very careful about instead of using that money on green initiatives or other areas, sometimes it goes towards insurance premiums instead. Georgia, we've got legislation that the governor just signed the other week that is absolutely groundbreaking. We turned into the #1 judicial hellhole in America. We're supposed to be the greatest state to do business in, like 11 years in a row, but that's kind of a thorn in our side. So I was really happy to see Governor Kemp kind of spearhead efforts to pushing tort reform, lawsuit abuse reform across the finish line. So Georgia's tort reform win is absolutely monumental for TCW and our employees. I've been a squeaky wheel on this issue for a number of years. Namely, I mentioned a while ago a case in Atlanta where a gentleman my age, had two back surgeries for a 2-mile-an-hour collision. That's really when I first started understanding, hey, here's a loophole, the third-party litigation financing, then our seatbelt gag rule. Like, how silly is that? So we go to court and we're supposed to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, except for what the plaintiff's attorneys don't want us to tell. Like, I've never understood how that seatbelt gag rule came about, but so glad we were able to fix that. I don't think people really realize the impacts that those costs they get passed down to Georgia consumers. These plaintiffs' attorneys are getting rich off of depriving Georgia businesses from their profits, and those profits, instead of or let's just say revenue instead of profits, but that is a line item expense, and insurance premiums increasing, and that gets factored in when your goods are transported in Georgia. If we're hauling car parts for a manufacturer, or we're hauling milk or bread or groceries, clothes, apparel, whatever it is, that is hitting Georgia consumers in the pocket, not just us as motor carrier employees. So I think we'll be celebrating this win for a long time, and we're going to have to continue, stay in front of it and make sure that next year they're not trying to reel this thing back. But I'm absolutely positive that we will see long-term benefits and just better transparency in our court system, number one, right? Just having a level playing field. This didn't tip the scales our way. This just made it even. Like, let's share the true details when we go to court and be honest and truthful. But I really think the insurance premiums reductions are, I don't think anybody can put a percentage or a guesstimate on it right now, but I think they're going to be really significant. What really made this fight important is, we went into this as this is not a red versus blue issue. This is not a corporate big insurance fight. This is, hey, employee owners understanding this hits us as employees, but also as companies. This was an all hands on deck approach. GMTA did a really, really fantastic job this year, really spearheading things and working with other associations. But I think the other successes that I've noticed in other states is really also something that GMTA really took on this year, is including other businesses, not just fighting on this hill as motor carriers, but bringing in the manufacturers, bringing in any kind of business you can that this ultimately impacts as well, and driving their support. And then also grassroots. I mean, the constituents in the representatives' backyards, calling and emailing and just wearing them out day after day after day was huge. And then really finding champions is another thing. You know, we found a few folks at the State House that we knew would help, you know, carry the flag for us. And then last, I would say you find out who your biggest enemies are, the biggest opponents, which are typically going to be your plaintiff's attorneys, and don't just chalk it up with them. We flipped some votes this year that were plaintiff's attorneys that historically have voted no, 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 and they flipped this year. And I know, you know, probably a lot of that was the governor and his office, but just mount the pressure on them. Let them know we're not going to take no as an answer. Just we want fair, equitable court systems.